And then obviously the last thing that I want to talk about in this kind of first stage, this first phase, is the importance of hard work, the importance of repetition, and the importance of time. I think at the end of the day, nothing comes easy. Nothing comes quick. And nothing good comes easy, nothing good comes quickly. There needs to be patience during that journey. For example, let's say, Kevin, your calling is now bodybuilding. All of a sudden, you just want to become the next Mr. Olympia. Okay? That's just now your new goal. You basically, Kevin, have to pack on 50 kilograms of muscle. How's that going to happen, Kevin? How are you going to pack on 50 kilograms of muscle?
That's a good question.
Is it that you're just going to go to the gym tomorrow, lift weights for 24 hours, and now you can go into Mr. Olympia?
Of course not.
Of course not.
Work out every day.
Consistency, that's repetition. But the thing is, that consistency, even if you do it for a week, are you going to be ready?
You're going to do it for a lot longer than a week.
Exactly. So the time is important, right? But for you to be able to stick to it and being consistent, therefore you have to understand that the patience is part of it, right? It's a long-term game. It's not a short-term game.
Yeah.
You might really want to be Mr. Olympia tomorrow. But let's be honest, that's not happening. So you have to consistently eat the right amount of calories, eat the right amount of protein, do the right exercises, right workout, and over time you're going to slowly get better. Now, if you're financially in a good place, you can get coaches. That's like if you want in academics, you get tutoring, right? Or if you're in a gym, you have a personal trainer, right? That can fast track it because they can develop a program strictly catered to the situation that you're in right now.
Yeah.
And not just give you some sort of generic advice. Lift weights. Yeah, everyone knows they have to lift weights. How am I going to lift? How often? How many reps? How heavy? Right? When to take the rests? How many times a day? What time of the day? It's different for every person, right? So therefore, if you can't figure out yourself, you will unfortunately need to seek advice if you want that progress to take less time. But even in that instance, you still have to be patient, right? Even if you have the best nutritionist, best trainer in the world, instead of maybe 10 years to become Mr. Olympiad, it might take 6 years. That's a lot, right? That's like 4 years less than maybe a person that's just doing them by themselves. But that still takes time, and it still takes repetition, and it still takes consistency, right? So, like, the formula is very important that if anyone that's trying to get better, is like academics, training, whatever it is, right? You have to understand that it takes time, that you have to be patient, that the body can only take on so much before it fatigues and it gets tired, and you have to rest. And once you rest, you heal. And only after you heal, your tolerance and resilience gets higher, so you can work even harder. And then you exhaust yourself and you go back to rest. And then you repeat, and each time you rest, you can push yourself a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, isn't it? Right? But if you don't hit that peak, the small amount of peak that you have at the beginning, then you're not going to build that extra tolerance, isn't it? But also you have to understand that you can't go from level 1 to level 100 without hitting level 2 first. And then from level 2 to level 3. And then from level 3 to level 4. And that takes time. And that takes consistency.
Yeah.
And that takes discipline. Right? And if you're not disciplined enough yourself, find someone that's going to hold you accountable. Maybe it's your friend that wants to be a bodybuilder with you together. Going back to the community aspect, right? Because they'll be like, hey, wait a minute. I thought we weren't eating chocolates and chips anymore, right? I thought we're trying to get healthy. What's all this? You know that you doing this is also making it hard for me to get better. We're supposed to support each other. And now that person will feel bad. And when he slips up, reciprocate that, isn't it? And unfortunately in this real world, time is not free because people need to survive. There needs to be like a monetary incentive in terms of survival, number one. But then number two, all the best trainers, all the best teachers, all the best mentors, right? They actually enjoy the subject matter, right? So you also want to pay someone, if you have the luxury of being able to pay them, that it's also someone that's, you know, naturally enjoys that subject matter to begin with. So Yeah. Time, patience, consistency, that's important. If you're not training every day, if you're not practicing every day, it's just not going to get better. Like, I'll give you an example. In uni, in my first year, I took on Japanese, intro to Japanese course in university.
Okay.
I think it was actually quite hard because like, I think the level of difficulty in that first semester course was like beginner's Japanese for the HSC, as well as maybe a little bit of continuous Japanese as well. Within a span of, let's say, 12 weeks or whatever. So that's quite a lot to learn, right? And I was quite fascinated with just languages in general. And I think I was naturally kind of talented in the sense that I can pick up languages fast, like especially like pronunciations and that kind of stuff. So like I was willing to put in the work. I wanted to see how far I could go. And then I ended up getting a high distinction, I think. I got like 86, I can't remember, it was a while ago. Let's say 86%, right? High distinction. But you know what, Kevin? Today, I don't remember a single thing. Well, not a single thing, but like let's say 95% of it I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot how to write the characters and I forgot how to pronounce the characters. Why is that, Kevin? Why was it that I got a high distinction, yet today I don't know 95% of the stuff?
Well, you didn't use it.
I didn't practice. I wasn't consistent with it. At the same time, I also didn't get to that level overnight. I didn't spend a week on it and then I just perfected it. It was like a 12, 15 week process, right? Of constant grind, constant practice, talking with with the classmates, practicing public speaking with them. Like, it's not anything fancy. It's like basic stuff, right? Like not deep conversations, like finding directions and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But still, like we practice a lot. We converse a lot with the lecturers and the tutors, right? And yeah, like over time, with that hard work, that consistency and over time it paid off. But because I wasn't continuously doing it, I wasn't consistent outside of that. It's all kind of wasted in the long run if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like nothing really came out of it other than, I guess for me, having that confidence to know that if I did do a language, I could get there in 15 weeks, 12 or 15 weeks or whatever it was, to a conversable standard. I guess that's the one positive. But in terms of just the Japanese language itself, I forgot everything. So it's normal. Everyone is human. That's just unfortunately that's just basically how the human body is. Unfortunately, we just have to be disciplined. We have to be consistent, and we have to spend time to perfect the craft. And some people spend their entire life becoming an NBA basketball player, right? They're not NBA basketball player and Olympic swimmer and Nobel Prize winner. Do you get what I'm saying? It's impossible. Like there's only a certain amount of time that you have in a day, so and you can't really take on too much unless you start earlier. You give yourself a much longer runway.
Yeah.
Someone that's 5 years old can probably consistently get good at all those things. But someone in year 12 that's about to do the HSC can't get good at all 5 subjects all at once per se, right? You need that build up.
Yeah.
That's why it's very hard. The HSC is not easy if like the switch flips in year 12, you don't have enough time, right? It's a math equation. There's not enough time to perfect it, even if you want to, right? You have to exhaust yourself, you have to recover, and then you have to then push yourself even more than you did before. That's how it works. That's how you go from being able to lift 5 kilograms to lifting 100 kilograms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to exhaust yourself with the 5 kilograms, you have to rest, you have to recover, and then you go 6 kilograms. And then you exhaust yourself, you rest, recover, 7, 8, 9, so on and so forth. How is that any different to like your brain? The brain's a muscle as much as the bicep is a muscle, if not more of a muscle. Yeah, so people are very unrealistic when it comes to that. These kids, they're like, oh, I go to the gym every week. I have to lift to like keep my physique. Okay, so so you do understand that to keep going back week after week, day after day, you have to be disciplined. You can't eat Kit Kats and Oreos, right, to stay shredded. Yet, when it's studying, I'm just going to pray that tomorrow I'm just going to know it. Like, what are you on about? How come you understand it, the amount of work and dedication here, but not there? right? Math and English and science, they all require that same amount of energy, the same routine, the same amount of commitment, the same amount of time.
It's because they don't treat it as a hobby.
Exactly. They don't treat it. Like, they're interested in building their physique. They're interested in being stronger, aesthetics. But there's also aesthetics of the brain, right? And if it's not to show off to other people, at least you personally feel good because you are so much smarter. You make the better decisions, right? And just know more in general. Your own personal level has just increased.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think these are the three main things I want people to think about at the beginning. If they can hit all three of those things, right? Making sure that they put themselves in an environment where people care about the things that they want to get good at. So they can learn from them, but also they can provide value. If the value isn't money, it's got to be value in terms of skill, isn't it? Right? Because that's the two ways you can provide value.
Yeah.
Second thing is, you have to treat it as a hobby. You have to treat it as self-growth. If you don't treat it as something that you're doing that it's going to make you a better person, and it's not for the school, it's not for your parents, it's for you personally, you're not going to break out of the mindset, you're not going to be motivated, right? And then last but not least, number 3, all greatness, anything in life, in terms of human life, right, is achieved through being patient, being disciplined, being consistent. And once they hit those 2 things, all right, we'll talk about the next step. I know you're like kind of like dying a little bit,
Yeah.
but
I was trying to stay awake,
yeah.
like doing one of these. Sorry, I'm actually just falling asleep.
I'm just spitting facts that you already know, Kevin. That's why you're falling asleep. You're like, stop telling me things I already know. Put in the comments if you see Kevin struggling in the episode. Timestamp it so that people can zoom in on your face and you're like kind of dozing off.
It's like when I'm like yawning, trying not to like show everyone I'm yawning. I want to go home and just sleep.